Welcome to Living Beyond Vision with AJ. I'm finally continuing the Witch series podcast. In part one, you learned how to identify a witch. Today, we're going to discuss signs of witchcraft attack. And I have lots of stories to share of my own personal accounts. So let's get right into it. So this is the fair use disclaimer, so feel free to stop it at any time and read it. Um, and so I'm just going to let you do that on your own, and we'll continue on with the series. Okay, so number one, if you're under witchcraft attack, you may feel confusion. Now, I do want to do an additional disclaimer saying that not any, of these truly mean that you are under witchcraft attack, okay? There are other things, there are multiple signs, and you have to pray about it to see if this is witchcraft attack. You have to take into account your circumstances, if things come on suddenly out of nowhere, who you're around. You have to be aware of other factors, but these things are a symptom, are symptoms of witchcraft attack, as well as it can be other reasons too. But again, pray about it, and let's just continue on. So you can experience confusion. Um, Things don't make sense, so you feel as though you are losing your mind, okay? Things aren't as they seem, um, because of gaslighting, deception, hatred, and lies. So these are all things that witches or warlocks use in their witchcraft practices. So I have a story for this one. Okay, so let me put my glasses on. So I'm not gonna name names. I have code names for these individuals. So we're gonna be talking about M1 and M2. Okay. So M2 did something very vile to me and um basically yelled at me, was intimidating with the tone of voice and what they said. So I was in shock. Okay. So I took it to M1 and I spoke to M1 and I said, M2 did this. And so M1 tried to blow it off. Well, first they said, well, I'm going to talk to M2. So they sat together. M1 talked to me and said, "Oh, they were matching your tone and things of this nature and trying to deflect everything and shift the blame." Um, so it did. I sat there in confusion. Um, so then I sat with both M1 and M2, and it was the same spiel. So it was all gaslighting, deception, um, lies, and so it was very confusing for me, and it was horrible. It was horrible to say the least. So, but prior to that happening, I had a dream. Jesus gave me a dream that I was going to be basically screwed by two people. And shortly after that, it happened. So I knew I was under attack. Um, let's continue to number two. So, number two, you may experience sudden head or body ache. Okay, so I have stories for this as well. Okay, so years and years and years and years ago, I have tea, so get yourself some tea. We're going to be a little while because I have stories. Okay, and everybody loves a good story, especially when it's a true story, and hopefully you can benefit from my story. So, many, many years ago, I was a Jehovah's Witness, and that's filled with witchcraft. And they set me up with a warlock, and I did marry this warlock. I will do a story time on that, perhaps. I wrote a whole book on it. It's called Saved by Grace. I wrote a whole book on my experience in this organization. Okay, but I'll do another video talking about that. Anyway, when I was with this individual, I had experienced, we were in the dating phase, and I got a pain in my stomach and it was so bad. It was such a pain, such a bad pain. And but prior to this, in that organization, I kept getting UTIs, and they just kept giving me medicine, and they set me up with their own doctor. Like they were all in on it. Like they were all like witches, warlocks, part of the JW organization. So they set me up with their doctor. So all he did was kept prescribing me antibiotics, antibiotics, antibiotics. And it just kept coming back. It would go away, come back, go away, come back, go away, come back, over and over and over again in short spans of time. And that was not normal at all. And then one day while I was, courting this person, I got like a really sharp pain. I was in bed and it came on, and I know that sometimes I have experienced in the past like a little gas pain, right? And then it would like work its way out. So I went to the bathroom, like maybe I have to just use the bathroom. That did not help. It just kept getting worse and worse. So I called this gentleman and said, listen, I am in such pain. Can you, like, I think I need to go to the hospital. So he came to my house and picked me up and brought me to the hospital. Mind you, in JWs, you can't be alone. When you're courting, you have to have someone present. So my daughter, I woke her up out of bed, said, can you please ride with us to the hospital? Because I can't be alone with them. And so she rode with us to the hospital. So we went to the hospital. I went in, they went in to see me. The pain was so bad, I was gripping. It felt like there was something holding onto my ovaries and wouldn't let go and squeezing. That's how bad the pain was. It felt like an entity of some sort was squeezing, like some kind of demon. And finally, to make the pain go away, they had to administer a shot to me. So they rolled me over, stuck a shot in my buttocks, and finally the pain subsided. And then I was able to go home. It was wild. It was crazy. And then they said, "Oh, you have a urinary tract infection." Again, or bladder infection or something that they said, some type of infection, and prescribed something for me, and then had me on cranberry juice. Okay, so that was an account where sudden pain occurred. Okay, so here's another account. Many, 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 many years later. So I talked about in my first video, I introduced you to LC. And please watch the first video. And LC, Jesus gave me a vision of LC, and LC had a black robe, like she was, standing there in garment, um, in my vision, all covered in a black veil, black robe, head to toe, standing there staring toward me. And that was telling me that that person was very secretive, covert, narcissist, and witchcraft. Okay, so now you have to watch part one. Okay, so again, LC. I'm going to take a sip because I'm getting this little scratch in my throat. Elsie was a new person, a new leader. So Elsie came to sit next to me, and while Elsie was sitting next to me to watch me work, I started getting a pain on that side, like real ache, tension, achiness on this side. I'm like, oh my gosh. It's like it became so heavy and painful on the side that Elsie was sitting on. And I had to miss work a couple days after that because I was in such pain, achiness on in my joints, whatever, on the right side of my body. Okay. Those are my two stories. So if you can, if you know you're around someone and you get sudden pain and out of nowhere, pray about it. But there are other factors because remember, Jesus gave me a dream that of LC and what this person, their intentions and what they were truly about. So there's other factors. Jesus will show you. Pray. Okay, sorry I skipped ahead. I had to back up. Okay, so number three, exhaustion. You'll feel no motivation, you'll have low energy, you'll just feel exhausted all the time. And it's not just, we do get tired and we get exhausted, but it's abnormal. It's abnormal exhaustion, okay? All right. Okay, so number four, hopeless. You feel hopeless, you feel down in spirit, you'll feel depression, you'll feel like a dark cloud is over you and heaviness. Now, I have a story for this, but this isn't there's probably witchcraft involved in this, but it's just um like a demonic presence. Um I was like very depressed, and my daughter would say, every time you're on your cycle, you get depressed. And I'm like, no, I don't. She goes, yes, you do. And this was years ago, and I was so depressed. Like there was a dark cloud. I couldn't get rid of it. It would go nowhere. And I was so depressed all the time, and I felt like heaviness. So one day, I was watching a program, and they were doing healing. And it's not that I believe that this person was healing because they're like they're false prophets, okay? But because I was asking about healing, and I said, I was putting belief in healing, and I said to Jesus at that point, I said, is that real? I said, if I wanted to be healed and you really were healing people and I wanted to be healed, I would heal of no longer being depressed. I would be healed of depression. That was my prayer. It was basically a plea and a prayer to be healed of depression. And right after that, I didn't feel anything miraculous at that point. I didn't feel nothing in my body, nothing. But days went by, and like a whole week went by, and I wasn't depressed or anything. And I noticed it. And I'm like, wait a minute, Lucia. That's my daughter's name. I didn't mean to give out her name, but it doesn't. That's fine. Um, I was like, Lucia, I don't feel depressed. And she's like, I said, I haven't been depressed in a week. She goes, you haven't? I said, I prayed about it. Jesus healed me. He actually healed me of depression. So that my depression was because of a demonic spirit, demonic spirits around me. And I had been around a lot of people, and in my life, passed down through generations. There's been things in our past, generational curses and so forth. So I was healed of depression at that moment. And you know what? It has never come back again. Yeah, I gotten sad, and there has been major things that have happened in my life from that point on. And this was like, I believe in like around 2004, I think. And since then, I have not had that depression in my life ever, ever again. I was completely healed forever. So, and that's a lot of in a lot of situations where people like think about unaliving and things of that nature. It's because of this depression and it's demonic oppression. So we need to pray when we feel that way. Okay, so let's continue on. Okay, so number 5 is illness. Some illnesses that can occur from witchcraft attack is mental decline, like you can't speak, um, rapid weight loss, loss of appetite, heart failure, vomiting, and finally there can be death involved. Okay, so I have a few stories regarding this. Um, First, I'm going to take it way back, okay? And I'm going to tell you the story about my uncle, my mother's brother. So, first, I need to tell you about his mother, my grandmother. Okay. My grandmother, all the time that I was coming up, people would say that she's a witch. They would be, your grandmother's a witch. And even her own, one of her sons said, she's a witch. And people in the family, like the older generation, cousins would say she's a witch. So, I didn't know what to make of it. I didn't know. I mean, I loved my grandmother so dearly, 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 dearly. And, she's long gone, passed away. But I still, of course, I love my grandmother, but I didn't know what this meant. And I didn't even know if it was true. I thought people may have just been talking. But today, now, as I'm an older person and my grandmother's long gone, and I've learned so much and I've seen so much, I do know now and I believe truly in my heart that she really was a witch. And because of things that have occurred and what Jesus has shown me, and we do have generational curses in our family. So, so now let me talk about what happened to her son before I was born. So he went to the well. I think she had a well way in the back of her yard, right? And he went to the well, and when he came back, he could not speak. He was like so afraid. He was so afraid, like he saw something, and he was like in a frantic. He could not speak for a long while. He could not speak. So my grandmother went to the fortune teller. See, she believed in fortune tellers. She went to the fortune teller, and the fortune teller told her to take him back to the well at midnight and say his name 3 times. Now, I'm not going to say his name, of course. Say his name 3 times. So they did that. And the fortune teller told her not to let him go alone, just to bring people, like 2 or 3 more people. So they did that. They took him to the well at midnight, said his name 3 times, called it out, and he came back. He was in his senses again. He could speak. He went home and he was fine. Okay, so that was a form of witchcraft probably put on them. Yeah. All right. So, next story. Years later, well, not years later. I don't know how long later, but I'm going to talk about my mom. And again, this was before I was born. So, my mom with her 2 sisters, went to a bar that it's a local bar that everybody frequents, and they would just go there to hang out, eat. They sold food too. And so she went there and she was with her 2 sisters, and they got served soup. They ordered soup. Now, one of her sisters ate the soup and said, this tastes like dishwater, right? Like that attitude. Hated it. So the woman, probably who made the soup, heard her and didn't like it. So, but she thought that my mother said it. She thought my mother said it. So she put a spell on my mother, cast a spell on my mom. My mom became very, very ill, and she lost weight. She was afraid all the time, and so forth. Now, I don't know how she came out of it, but my grandmother probably went to a fortune teller again, but she came out of it. However, I believe that she may have had residuals from that because when I was just a baby, probably newly born baby, a small baby, she had a nervous breakdown and was hospitalized for that nervous breakdown for a long while. I don't know how long. I don't know if it was months or a year. I don't believe it was more than a year, but um, she was hospitalized for a long while. Probably months, probably a few months. I don't know. But yep, she had a nervous breakdown. And she was on after that though she had after that when she came home she became stronger, and my mother was a very, very strong person, very, very strong person. And at the end of her days, like within the last, I say, month of her life, she lived to 90 something. In the last month of her life, she was actually saved. She was saved. So yeah, I will see her again. But anyway, so that happened. Now, next, with illness. Okay, so my next story is about my brother. I'm not going to say his name. Now I was a teenager now in high school, and my oldest sister was dating a man who she was seeing a man who was also seeing a married woman. Now, her and this married woman were beefing it out about all like back and forth about this guy. And so the married woman went and put witchcraft on my sister. She thought she was putting that was her intention, but because my sister was stronger and there was a weaker vessel in my house, the witchcraft that she did fell on my brother. My brother was the weaker vessel, and he was born hard of hearing. He was a weaker vessel, so the witchcraft fell on him. So he became so ill, so ill. He threw up everything he ate, okay? And every time he eat, at first it was like, oh, he's got a stomach problem, or he has a flu, or he hasn't. But it never stopped. It never stopped. So he everything he ate, he threw up. So of course my mother took him to the doctors. They couldn't find out what was wrong. She started giving him shakes, milkshakes. Okay, give him milkshake. See if he throws it up. Water. He threw it up. Everything that went down his throat came back up. He threw it up. So he just lost weight, and he began to develop this foul smell. He smelled like it smelled like a goat, honestly. He smelled like a goat. His room smelled like a goat. And now I don't know if anybody else could smell that smell or just me. I'm thinking maybe I was the only one that could smell that smell, because later I'm going to tell you another story about foul odors and a goat smell, and I was the only one that could smell it, no one else. So I may have been the only one that could actually smell that smell, but it smelled like that. And like I would watch him, he would be walking. One time he walked down the street, and I would watch him, and his legs would not be looking, and he was walking, and it looked like, you know, a goat walking or something. Like he wasn't himself anymore. And he was just so ill. So he would like lay in bed and scratch his back so bad, like something was on him, and he began to develop sores all on the back of his shoulder from scratching so hard. um yeah, that's how fierce this witchcraft was. And so my mother, they couldn't figure out what was wrong with him at the doctor. So my mother finally took him to, she took him to a fortune teller, okay? And because she got that from her mother, right? So she took him to the fortune teller. The fortune teller, she took his picture. She took his picture with her to the fortune teller. She prayed over him. Now, my mother was familiar with, witchcraft stuff because she was like she was around it, as she was coming up. She experienced it herself. So she took his picture to the fortune teller. Fortune teller prayed over him, and the fortune teller said that, yeah, this person did this to him. And so she prayed for it to be gone, and she goes, he's going to be okay now. He's going to be okay now, or whatever. Anyway, I think that the things that were around him left, but he was so in, trust me, I'm not saying that she has the power. I'm not saying that. We all know that Jesus has the power to cast out demons, and all power lies in Jesus, right? But I don't know what she did. I don't know what happened, but it did leave him. But he was so sick. It had gone so far past the point where he could become better. Okay. See, okay. Okay. She was able to like tell, like, pray for him about the demons, right? However, she wasn't able to make him whole. And that's what I need to say. She wasn't able to make him whole. Only Jesus could make him whole. And we didn't, my mother wasn't seeking Jesus at that point in her life. And I was a teenager and I wasn't seeking Jesus at that point to pray for him. I had no clue. So even though, like, maybe like the demonic presence left, he was still left with the ill, like he was not able to be healed fully because Jesus wasn't in that. Jesus wasn't in that because no, we didn't call on him, we didn't pray to him. Okay, so he remained with the residuals of that witchcraft attack, and he remained like weak. He couldn't breathe. One day he was he stopped breathing and collapsed in the house. So that was like the beginning of the end for him. And we tried to wake him up. We called the ambulance. The ambulance came and they took him to the hospital, and they had to put him on a respirator. So they couldn't figure out what's wrong. So he was on a respirator. They they transported him to Boston Hospital, Boston General Hospital, where there was like the experts all there. And he was in the hospital for like a year. And he was on that respirator for a year. Couldn't breathe on his own. And fed through a tube and everything else. And they allowed him to come home. Like the hospital, they brought him home to visit in the wheelchair and everything. So he came and sat in the house and sat on the couch with us, and but he was still on a respirator and he was visiting with us. But then they took him back. It was the saddest thing ever. Took him back to the hospital, and he was like that for a year until he passed away. But you know what? Went to the hospital to see him one day, close to his death. And he said, I saw Jesus. And Jesus came to him. Jesus came to him. He saw Jesus. He said, I saw Jesus right there, right there. I said, you did, you did, you did. And what did he look like? Where? You did? And he couldn't talk, but he's like, I thought Jesus. And my mother and father weren't really like, they were kind of talking amongst themselves, but I was like zoned in on him. And I said, where did you see him? And he pointed over there. But Jesus came to see him, and shortly after that, he passed away. So he will be, when the resurrection occurs and Jesus comes back, he will be resurrected to life. He will be with Jesus in heaven. So, or like wherever Jesus finds fit for him, that's where he will be. But he is in God's kingdom. Okay. So the doctors, they couldn't, figure out, they just had to label it something, so they labeled him with multiple sclerosis, but it wasn't multiple sclerosis. It was all the witchcraft that had been done to him. Okay, so next story. All right, so about me. When I was in Jehovah's Witness, I was a Jehovah's Witness, and for 7 years, and this is later in life, this is in my 30s, in my 30s, uh, late 20s, early 30s, for 7 years. It might have been from 30 to 37 or something like that, or from 28, 29 to 36, 37. It was around that time in my life. Um, I was a Jehovah's Witness, and I became ill while I was in there. Now, remember, I became ill. I began to lose weight because, again, my mind was open, and I thought I was losing my mind. One day it just rushed in on me, and because I was around demonic presence, I couldn't eat. I became very, very thin, um, and massive weight loss. So then finally it was like Jesus, they were tormenting me. They were tormenting me. They tortured me. And finally it was like Jesus said, enough, like, don't stop now. You're done with her. And all of a sudden, my mind was clear again. I came back and I felt better. I started eating, and it was gone. Jesus protected me completely. Okay. And I kept getting the UTIs. Like I said earlier, I kept getting UTIs over and over and over again. Okay. So those are the illnesses that I wanted to share from witchcraft. And those are the things that I saw firsthand in my life. Okay, so let's continue on to the next. Okay, number 6. Now we're going to talk about sleep paralysis. You get no sleep, okay? Sleep deprivation is a sign of witchcraft and demonic attack. And again, like I said before, just because you can't sleep at night doesn't mean that you're under witchcraft attack. There's things that go with it, okay? You have to pray about it and figure out why can't you sleep. It could be hormonal, it could be something totally unrelated. Doesn't have to be witchcraft attack. But this is one of the things that could happen from witchcraft attack, okay? So, nightmares, insomnia. So, I used to get sleep paralysis. Again, when I was a Jehovah's Witness, I had all the demonic books around me, so I got sleep paralysis. They tormented me. And one day I would get, like, I couldn't wake up, I couldn't move. I would be awake, but I couldn't move, and I'd be like trying to call out Jesus. I got that so much. I don't get that anymore. Ever since, like, the things that were around me of that had demonic presence or attachments, um they're gone. They don't come in my house. I don't let nothing in my house. If I get a hint of anything, it's gone. So but yeah, and I'm in prayer all the time, so I don't get sleep paralysis anymore. But in Jehovah's Witness, oh, I got it constantly. And that's a witchcraft organization. They do witchcraft. There's witches all up and through there. And Yeah. So, and the books are from witchcraft. I derived from witchcraft. The books, and I had tons of those books. So, one day I was like in bed and my back was turned and in back of me, I felt like something dip in the bed, like someone sat on the bed. That's what I felt like. I felt like a dip in the bed. And I was like, and I turned around and nothing was there, nothing. But that was the demon. That was a demon that was present that, caused me to have these paralysis and also like sat on my bed. Like it's weird. But it's real. I would have nightmares. Um, I had a night, well, yeah, I would have nightmares. I can't remember all the nightmares that I had, but I've had nightmares that, have demonic presence, that wake me up. But anyway, that is my story of sleep paralysis. So that's a real thing. So if you're um, suffering with sleep paralysis, um, please pray about it. Please pray about it. Pray about all these symptoms. Pray about all of them and see where they're coming from. It could be witchcraft attack. Okay, so the next thing is um, bad occurrences will happen. Okay. You get lots and lots of bad occurrences, one thing after another. Like it's just something's always happening, right? So things are always going wrong. Health problems, house problems, work problems, car problems. It's just like there's no end, right? So I'm going to tell you a few stories, real life stories. So with health problems, okay, I got that from when I was in a Jehovah's Witness. I kept getting the UTIs. Remember that was something, bad occurrences around witchcraft activity. Um, so after that, okay, so I dated someone. This was years later now. I dated someone who was a Freemason, and um things would always bad things were always occurring around this person. Okay? And I know that they didn't have good intentions toward me. All right? So, one time um him and an associate of his, someone that he was close to, they're all in that organization. They came to my house, and when they left my house, I left with them. I left with him and I went to stay at his house. And good thing, because when I came back home a day or two later, there was holes in my wall. And I was like, why are there holes in my wall? I'm like, what did this person do? Did this person like put holes in my wall? Seriously. Like, cause they came back in the house. I went in the car. They came back into the house. Okay, this is what happened. I'm getting so much. I'm like learning more about what happened by telling you. It's clear. It's making it clearer to me. Okay, this is what happened. They were at my house. They spent the night. I We were going to leave and go to his house now. And so I went in the car first, and he says, "Oh, I forgot something in the house. I forgot my left my key or something he left in the house." And when he said that, something inside of me got a stir. Like, had to be Holy Spirit, right? it didn't sit well with me. I was worried that he was going to do something when he came into the house. So he came into the house. I sat in the car and I was like, okay. So then we left. We went to his house. So he was the last one in the house by himself. Went to his house. When I came home by myself a couple days later, there were holes all in my wall. There was like a hole and then a hole, like in the living room and then in the bathroom. It was like it was wild. And so I said, I called him up. I'm like in a frantic. I'm like, why did you put holes in my wall? Why would you do that? I said, he goes, what are you talking about? I didn't put holes in your wall. I said, well, you were the last one in the house. You put holes in the wall. Why? And he's like, I did not put holes in your wall. So he came right away. He looked at, he goes, call the police because I didn't put holes in your wall. So I called the police and, um, what happened, the police said that it was a bullet. Somebody shot at my house. It came through the window. Because it goes, it's like from the street, it's like chicorying up. So it hit here. It went to that wall across the room. It went through the closet, into the bathroom, through that wall, fell down, and didn't go out of the house. It didn't go through the outside of the house. So it stopped in the bathroom wall, so it fell to the floor. So there is like a bullet somewhere between my walls in the bathroom. From the bathroom wall that leads to the outside of the house, there's a bullet there somewhere. Yeah, I said, I asked the police, do we need to get the bullet out? He goes, it's not worth it because we're not gonna find it. He's like, it's not gonna be worth it. It's like gonna tear your whole wall apart. We gotta tear the whole wall apart. And so he goes, we're not, it's so random. We're not going to be able to find a person by getting that bullet. So I'm like, okay, fine. So, I called someone, insurance or whatever. They repaired the holes in the wall. But, um, I believe that why did he want to come into the house? There's a reason that he wanted to come into the house by himself to probably cast something. Do you know what I mean? I believe that. So another thing, because something was always occurring with this person. Okay. So another thing, okay. There was one time he used to come to my house, right? He would sit at the table and there's like a window. Like if you sit at the dining room table, you look out, there's a window that you can look through. And there was a tree. It was a tree that was there, beautiful tree, right? You look out the window, there's the tree. He would stare out that window, right? And I believe that, that tree died. That tree died. And fortunately, Jesus restores and repairs everything. Jesus will restore what the enemy takes, restores. So later on, they they were coming around, the town was coming around and said, oh, we have extra trees that we're planting, and I'm like, oh, can you replant the tree that died? Can you put another tree there? They go, yeah. So I got a new tree and it's beautiful and it's flourished and it's there. But and I, of course, I did stop seeing that person eventually, so it's been years and years and years since I've been with that person. But um anyway, things like that happened. Okay. So, um, and someone else said that person's crazy. Like, and I know because of other things that I experienced around that person, I know that there's witchcraft over there. Absolutely. I'm going to tell you another story. Okay. About that when we get to it. Okay. Um, yeah, so that's what else happened. Okay. So there's another occurrence that, like, if you told people these things, they would say, oh, that's just a coincidence. But you know these aren't coincidences. You know it. Um, So, another thing that happened was, um, they bragged about cheating on me, and they told someone, that they trusted, and then that someone told someone else that they were friends with, and then that someone else came back and told me what he said. So I was like, I know, and I didn't want to like say it like right out, but finally I said, I know, that you've been like saying this. And I was like, I told him the other person that told me, but I didn't say who told me. No, I told him who told me, but I didn't tell them who told them. But anyway, he kind of figured it all out. And um, I don't know, maybe I did tell, I don't know. But months later, the person he told, who was a healthy, very healthy person, went to the gym all the time. Well, I don't know if they were healthy, I'm assuming, but they went to the gym all the time. I know that, and they looked fine. Um, they suddenly got a massive heart attack and died. So, I, a long time after that, I was like, I beat myself up because I told and I felt like I was responsible if that was the case, but I am not responsible for that. And I prayed about that. And, but I believe that something had been done to that person. That's my belief. Okay. Anyway, let's continue on. But because I do know of other things with this person, and I do know that that's something that a witch can do, or a warlock can cause heart attacks in a person. Okay, let's move on to the next thing. Car accidents. Okay, you know that witchcraft can cause car accidents, multiple car accidents on road that appear unnatural can be a cause of witchcraft. Like lots of times, I don't do it all the time, but I try to pray. I try to pray when I remember that um, that there's no, yeah, people are safe on the road. I pray for myself, of course, when I'm driving, that there's, I get to my destination safely and get back home safely. I pray that there are no car accidents on the way. I pray for the safety of everyone on the road. I try to pray that all the time. Um, but I'm going to tell you a specific story. Okay. A family member came to stay with me. It's a whole family, okay? And husband, wife, children. And they spent just one night. And and the one of the members of that family didn't like me too much because they were always trying to do stuff to me. I already knew, but this is close family, and I had to like accept them with the rest of the family. Okay. So they came, and I was hoping for the best. And in the middle of the night, well, I smell a smell on this person all the time, all the time. But in the middle of the night, I was in bed, and they were in bed upstairs. Now I'm downstairs. And I started smelling the smell so strong. I started smelling an unnatural smell. It was like body odor, but it was so intense. And it to the point where it made me want to vomit, right? It was a natural smell. And I even texted my daughter, I'm like, it smells so bad in here. So I want to vomit right now. That's how bad it smells. So the next morning, get up and go about my business, like, okay, make breakfast and wish them well on their trip back home. And Holy Spirit told me, well, she left, well, yeah, it's a she. So I'm not going to say her name, but it's a she left um one of the kids' toys back. And I was like, why did you leave this here? Like, and so that was strange to me because it was just sitting there. And then Holy Spirit told me to look under the couch cushions. So they didn't even turn the corner, and Holy Spirit said, look under your couch cushions. So I looked under my couch cushion, and there was a gold earring, one gold earring left. And I was like, why is this? Like, it's nobody else's because, listen, it's not my earring. And I'm a very private person. Nobody comes to my house. Nobody. The only person that comes is like maybe my daughter, and it wasn't hers, and she doesn't come very often. She lives far away. She was like an hour away from me. So she doesn't come very often. She's busy. She works. It wasn't hers. This woman left that earring behind, and Holy Spirit said, get rid of it. So I took the toy and the earring and threw it in the trash, and I prayed throughout my whole house. Now, I still had residuals of the smell in my house, so I had to pray over my house. I opened up every window and I cast out demons. I went throughout my whole house, casting out demons and praying, okay? I felt better. The smell subsided. I felt the air was clear. I felt better, okay? So I go to work on Tuesday, drive to work on Tuesday. This was on a Sunday. Tuesday, I drive to work, and on my way home from work, there's a car accident. It was, I kid you not, it felt like, you know how like when you're in a game and you're shooting down and you're trying to shoot the target? That's what it felt like happened. There was a car accident to my on my left as I'm going car, and it's like the front end of the car was like dented because it smashed into the back of another car, right? So it's sitting there, okay? So I'm like, oh my goodness. I drive up a little further, maybe a quarter of a mile, if that. Same exact accident. Car dented, it hit the back of a car. So here and here, same exact accident. I was like, this is so unnatural. I called my son, I'm like, listen, this is what just happened, and this is not natural. This is not natural. So I was telling him about it, and it was crazy, but I knew that it was something she was trying to have me get into a car accident, but it missed me. It was meant for me, but it missed me because I was prayed over, and you know, and I was like, if anybody else has gotten hurt from this, because I don't know how if this is true or not. And if anybody in the comments, if you know, please comment this. Is it true that if somebody, well, I'm now that I'm thinking, I think I'm kind of answering my own question because in my head, because if it if somebody does witchcraft, right? If it doesn't fall on you, it has to fall somewhere. Is that true? Does it not just disappear or it has to like take action somewhere? And I'm thinking that's the answer. Because remember when I told you that it fell on like the witchcraft fell on my brother because he was the weaker vessel? I'm thinking that it has to fall somewhere. So that's where it went. Yeah. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. But that is my story, and one of my sons experienced the same thing. Like he saw like accidents, multiple accidents that weren't natural, and he thinks it was meant for him too. But anyway, that is the case. Um, and okay, let me reiterate. I'm looking at notes. I don't want to forget anything. I had these notes down, so I want to like comment on these notes. Okay. Another reason why I think that this person, I know that this person did something not only because Holy Spirit showed me, but um my jean jacket was missing from my closet. Um she also like took my jean jacket. Like there was a jean jacket in the closet in my living room uh, coat closet. It's gone. It was gone. And so she took that, and also I know she took that because um there was a time when I went to her house and I spent the night at their house, and I put my pajama bottom in the on the floor in the bathroom with my all the rest of my clothes that I took off from my shower and my night clothes, and those on the floor. When I went back to get them to put them away, my pajama bottom was missing. But I dropped it with everything else. Nothing else was missing, but my pajama bottom was missing. Why? Why? She took that, okay? And she collaborates with someone else on the phone whenever I'm around. She calls that person and they're like talking, buzz, 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 buzz. And they were doing it when she was here. And I believe that other person is entangled in the same stuff. So anyway, that's that. Um, so let's go on to the next thing. Okay, the next thing is fear. You'll have so much fear. Um, your peace is stolen and is replaced by nervousness, uneasiness, worry, and fear. John 10:10 says, "The thief cometh not but for to steal and to kill and to destroy. I am come that they might have life and that they might have it more abundantly." So people can put witchcraft on you to the point where you're just always in fear of stuff. And that's what I was telling you earlier about when I was a Jehovah's Witness, and I'm going to tell you that story now. Um, where my mind was opened up. I was sitting there, I had so many books, and all the books had like demonic presence attached to it. And I was sitting there, and all of a sudden, my mind opened up, and I could feel the spirit world, and I could feel the demonic presence all around me, and I was in such fear. So, yeah, and that's when I lost weight, and I couldn't eat, and all of that stuff. And it was a horrible time, but Jesus saved me. Okay, let's go to the next thing. Foul odors. Okay, witchcraft and demonic presence bring foul odors. And I'm going to tell you of foul odors that I smell. Um, strong body odor, ammonia, urine smell, goat stench, smoke, sulfur, musty smells. Okay. I have firsthand experience with every single one. Okay. So, um, the strong body odor, I smell it on a person. That's the odor that I smelt when I just told you about someone came to my house, and um, the Holy Spirit told me to look under the couch, and I found the earring. That was like I was smelling the strong body odors. Okay. Um, the ammonia urine smell. The ammonia urine smell, that was, I smelled that on the person that I was seeing that when the gun shot through my house, when I was in a relationship with that person, I would smell that ammonia smell on them all the time. Um, Also, um, the smoke. Let me go to the smoke because it attaches to that person. So that person would always say, I smell smoke. I smell smoke. They would be smelling smoke in the air when there was no smoke because they had that demonic presence around them and they're working with demons. So now you're smelling smoke, okay? But they would always say that. I smell smoke. Um, and they would be like afraid too. They would be like, I smell smoke. Um, Now the goat stench, and I think that the sulfur smell comes into play with like the body odor and the ammonia, that sulfur stench. Um, Now the goat smell is like huge for me. Like that that goat smell, like Jesus shows me things with that goat smell. Okay. The very first time I got the goat smell was when I was a Jehovah's Witness. And I ended up marrying a warlock in there. And, I feel okay to call him a warlock. I think so, yeah, because there was witchcraft stuff going on in there. Um, started smelling that goat smell really, really bad. Like I would smell it and I was like, I would get afraid. It became so strong and no one else could smell it. And that's when I finally left the organization. Um, I started smelling it in his house because I moved into his house. And it wasn't just in his house, it was all over me. It was everywhere. Like I went to work and it was still on me and it smelled so strong. I was trying to get away from it. So I left work. I went to the mall. I called my job and I said, I'm not coming back. I took off the wedding ring and put it um on the phone. That's when there were pay phones at the mall. Okay, that's how long ago this was. There were pay phones at the mall. So I called my job from a payphone at the mall. I didn't have a cell phone um at that time. And so I put my ring down and left it there because I was afraid of it. I was trying to get rid of the smell. I'm like, maybe it's from this ring from him. Maybe it's from this. Maybe it's from that. And I drove back to his house and that's when I left. I called my father to come get me. And then I was still smelling the smell. I had all my stuff, all my books from there in the basement of my mother's house. And so finally I said, I have to get rid of the books. Like these demons are attached to these books. So all the Jehovah's Witness books, I took them all out, put them in the dump, and my father took them to the dump, got rid of them. And that's when the smell started to subside and it started to get weaker and less and less and less. It went away. But I could still like smell it, like it was on my shirt, like I would go like this. And I could smell that smell on my shirt like and until it finally like was gone completely. Um the next time I smelled that goat smell was years later. Many, many years later. What happened was, okay, now I'm going to talk about Jackie and Jilly. Jackie and Jilly. Um, I used to work with Jilly, okay, and Jilly and Jackie, uh, her Jackie was her brother, and I didn't celebrate Christmas, and they hated that I didn't celebrate Christmas, because yeah, I was a Jehovah's Witness, and I did learn that from Jehovah's Witness. But when I came out of there, Jesus sifted everything for me and made it clear what was, what to keep and what to throw away. And I learned that Christmas is pagan, so I don't celebrate it anymore. I stopped again. I started after Jehovah's Witness celebrating again, and then I stopped again because Jesus made it clear to me. So, and so one day she knows I don't celebrate Christmas. So she didn't like it. Like, these demonic people, they hate when you don't celebrate pagan demonic holidays. They just hate it. So, she brought me a gift anyway, and it was tied in a black ribbon and bow, like death. And I was startled. And I was like, I wasn't bold enough back then to say, I'm not taking that. I can't take that. Today I would say, no. But I wasn't bold enough then. So I took it and I said, thank you. I said, you didn't have to do that. Da, da, da. Thank you, though. Okay. So when I opened it, it was hat and mittens. I threw that in the trash. I was startled by the bow. I thought it was demonic. Um, so I threw it all away. Okay. So Christmas morning comes and I wake up and I look out the window, and what is there in my yard but a dead deer head? A dead deer head. Deer head. Now, they all used to go deer hunting, and I believe her brother did it for her because he would do anything for her. They're close. They all go, no, they do the deer hunting stuff and all that. And so there was a deer, dead deer head on my lawn. I called the police and I said, somebody put a dead deer head on my front lawn. And I know that they did that because I don't celebrate Christmas, and it was like, oh, dead deer. You don't celebrate Christmas, so here's your deer, like reindeer, right? And so um, I called the police. The police said that they can't to call, like they can't like come get it or whatever. They go just get rid of it or whatever. So, and then like nobody would help me. I don't remember if I called animal shelter or not, but no, I think I just called the police and they couldn't come get it. So they go just, pick it up and throw it away. And, they were nice, but they just said they couldn't come pick it up. Um, so I got a shovel. It was horrific. I got a long shovel and I just put it and I walked across the street and threw it in the woods. Um, that was terrible. That was terrible. Um, so I had a feeling it was them. I had a strong feeling it was them. So now here comes the proof. So, um, I was doing her hair one day. It was not long, maybe a couple months after that or so. I was at her house doing her hair. So she says, "Oh, my brother wants his hair cut. So he's gonna come over." I'm like, "Okay, sure, fine. No problem." So here he comes in the door. When he sits down in the seat. I get that whiff of a goat smell. And it's real strong and it just comes over me. And I was like, and and this was like all bringing back Jehovah's Witness, the goat smell. And then I was not afraid. I wasn't afraid. I'm like, okay, Jesus, okay, I'm not afraid. You're showing me, right? You're showing me. So Jesus showed me that they did that witchcraft stuff. He is the one that put that goat head in my yard. I knew right at that very moment. But I continued to cut his hair, but I was now made aware. I didn't mean to rhyme that, it just happened. But yeah, that's the goat smell. And if I get that goat smell now, I I know that it's Jesus showing me. I'm not afraid. But I don't think I've gotten it again since then. But if I did, I would just know what I'm dealing with. Okay. Um, the goat stench, the smoke, sulfur, and musty. Okay, musty, I did smell. Like sometimes I'll smell a person and they'll have a musty smell. There was one particular person in mind, and I have smelled must on them, a musty smell on them, and I knew. I already knew what they were into. I had like I already knew deep inside because Jesus shows you already. Um, but then I smelled the musty. It's just more confirmation. Okay, so there it goes with the odors. And especially like if you smell, I'm not saying that every smell is because of this, but especially if you're the only one can smell, like let me tell you, if you're the only one can smell goat on a person and nobody else is smelling it but you done tapped into something, okay? Like this person is into witchcraft and you are under witchcraft attack. Okay, so let's keep going. Okay, food and money. Food and money. So we're going to go back to the person that back to the same person with the gunshots in my house that they were around at that time. Okay. So, food and money. Food and money. When you take food and money from a person who has witchcraft intent toward you or harm toward you, you're you're giving them permission. It's like, okay, um, let me read this and then I can move on. Okay, giving permission. Okay, they love to offer you food and drinks. They cast spells on food. They cast spells on food, honey. It will taste very good, but in reality, it is really awful. Some restaurants do this to keep customers, but once you pray, you will taste the truth. You will taste the truth. Do not eat their food. Pray over everything that you eat. Accepting money can be tricky. It's all about intention. So it's all about their intention of when they give you food or when they give you money. It's about their intention. You need to pray about this. All right. So here are my stories. Okay. The person that I was seeing around the time of, when all those, the tree died and all that stuff. Well, this is how I came to see them in the first place. I wasn't attracted to them at all. And I was very new in my town. Didn't know anybody. Okay. I get something in the mail and yeah, something in the mail with no return address. And I open it up and it says, um, just addressed to me. But when I open up the letter, it says it's typed without their handwriting. It's typed, God bless you. God bless you. And then it's just a sheet of paper with $100 bill in it. And I was like, what? Who sent this? God bless you. And I was afraid. I was afraid to use it at first. But then I was like, okay, I'm like a single parent, like I got bills, I need the money, right? And I wasn't thinking about witchcraft or anything like that. But I did feel it did if you feel something in the pit of your stomach, please don't ignore it. But I ignored the pit of my stomach and I spent it. So maybe a month later or something, weeks later, here comes letter number 2 in the mail. I opened that one up. God bless you, typed. And it's not our God. It's not the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Okay. The Father of Jesus Christ is not that God. And there's a two $100 bills. I was like, who is sending me this? And then I'm trying to like psych myself out. Somebody really really cares about me and like they're really trying to do a good thing. Okay. I used that. Weeks later, here comes letter number three. Three $100 bills. Same God bless you typed. So, of course, I use it. And I'm like, I really want to know who did this. I want to meet the person who did this, who's doing this good thing for me, who's doing this such a good thing for me and being so kind to me, right? So, I, I, all of a sudden, I start becoming attracted to the man that I was never attracted to. And I start looking at him differently. And finally, he asks me out and we start dating. And our first date, he takes me out to dinner. Our second date, he makes me dinner. Um, but that was my and they make food, and he makes food for me all the time. He will feed you. He will feed you and feed you and feed you. And that is my story of how I got entangled with this person. Um, they and later I said, "Was it you who sent me that money? Did you send me money?" And he's like, "No, no, I didn't." But I know it was him. I know it was him. Um, and that's how he got me. That was a form of witchcraft to get me to notice him, to get me to look at him and to go out with him. Um, they also cook. They also cook a lot. So I'll just leave it at that. Anyway, so it's all about intentions, okay? So if somebody sent me that and they were really sincere and they had intentions, good intentions toward me, it would have been different. But he had intentions to like make me look at him and date me, and that was how he did it. Okay, let's move on. Okay, so I was looking for my chapstick. My lips are so dry. Oh, here it is. Sorry. I've been talking a lot. Okay, so we only have a few more slides left, not too long. Okay, sympathy magic. I need my glasses again for this. Okay, sympathy magic. In signatures and in pictures. So, in signatures, while the idea of using a signature to exert magical influence may sound dramatic, the reality within witchcraft traditions is more nuanced. Personal connection and sympathetic magic. Witches often utilize items that have a strong personal connection to an individual, including things touched, worn, or even written by them. Even written by them. And remember, I told you like the clothes that I wore, the person took it from me? Yeah, that was to perform witchcraft. Um, this falls under the principle of sympathetic magic, where influence a personal item is believed to affect the person themselves. Therefore, a signature, being a unique and personal mark, could be considered a tool for a witch to connect with someone energetically. Connecting the spell to the individual. The name acts as an address, ensuring the spell's energies are focused on the intended target. Sympathetic link. The name establishes a magical connection, making it easier to influence the person through the spell. Okay, so we have to go back to LC. LC is the person who I saw in all the black garb. LC is the person who sat next to me and I got pain in my shoulder. LC is that person, and that is the person who became in charge of things. So, LC, when they became in charge, said, can I have everybody's name? Write your name down on a piece of paper and give it to me because I am going to do a Halloween costume. No, she didn't say it at first. She said, she came around to everybody and said, can I have your name? Can you write your name? And I'm like, okay. So I wrote my signature and gave it to her on a piece of paper, like everybody else under her. And then, and when I handed it, she said, I'm using it for a Halloween costume. And I was like, oh. And of course, that didn't sell well with me because now like, I am a full follower of Jesus and I haven't celebrated any of these holidays for years and years and years. For some reason, I handed it to her like it was too quick for me to think, you know what I mean? So, but as I'm sitting there at my desk, I'm like, no, I can't. Oh, this is bothering me so bad. I don't want her to have my name. So I go to her desk and I say, to get my name back. Holy Spirit was like, go get your name, go get your name. So I go to her desk and get it. On approaching, I see her sitting there. She has everyone's name spread out, laid out, and she's looking at the names. She's looking down at them like this. She turned around and she goes, "Oh, even before I had a chance to even say it, she knew what I wanted. She goes, "Oh, do you want your name back?" I'm like, "Yes, I want my name back." She goes, "Oh, here, okay, fine. That's no problem. You can have it." Because they have to have permission, you know. So she gave me my name back, and I was like, so I got my name back. And she said, I said, I don't celebrate Halloween. And, if I participate in this by you using my name, I'll be disrespecting the one whom I worship. And she's like, oh, okay, that's fine. I'm like, okay, thank you for understanding. And I go sit back down with my name in hand. So grateful that I caught it. So here comes Halloween. Don't see anyone's name. Don't see any costume with anyone's name on the costume. Was never used in a Halloween costume. So, what were those names used for? What did she do with everyone's name, everyone's signature written on the name? Okay. Well, I wasn't under the influence, I'll tell you that. Okay. Pictures, pictures. Now let's talk about the pictures. Taking a photo of someone in a box itself is not witchcraft. However, within the context of certain belief systems and practices, including some aspects of witchcraft and folk magic, photographs can be considered to hold the essence or a sympathetic link to the person depicted. Potential connection to witchcraft. Sympathetic magic. A common belief in various magical practices is that objects that were once in contact with a person, such as a photograph, can be used to affect that person or situation through sympathetic magic. Box as a symbol. The box could symbolize containment and closure or the focusing of energy. In some witchcraft practices, boxes are used as a charm boxes or spell boxes to contain objects infused with intention for specific outcomes like protection, love, or prosperity. Therefore, a photograph of someone placed inside a box might be considered a tool or component in witchcraft ritual or spell depending on the practitioner's intent and specific practices. Okay, so the last part is talking about putting someone's picture inside a box, but the first part is talking about um, taking a photo of someone inside of a box. Okay, inside of a box. Okay, so this LC, again, LC, took, there was some challenge going on, and they took a picture of everybody in a box. Like there was one box, and she had everybody go into the box one at a time and make different poses inside of the box and take a picture. And I didn't know this was happening because I didn't participate in it. I don't participate in stuff because there are more intentions um implied, because there's always like more intention than what they're saying. So I don't participate. Anyway, then there was a meeting. There was a meeting. So go to the meeting, and on a big screen in the meeting were people inside of these boxes, and they were stacked, like stack, 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 in the picture on the screen. And everybody's in one box, doing something different. And I was like, that's weird. That's cool. Where did that come from? Like, and she was like, oh, we did this, yeah. And I was like, oh, okay, okay. And I'm just looking at it, and in my spirit, I feel like there's something very, very wrong with that. And I feel like those intentions are not good because um, we already had the signature intentions going on, right? I already saw I already saw the garb vision. I already got the pain. I already We already went through the signature intentions, and now the box. The box is everybody in a box. And Jesus is already exposed. So I already know what the person does, who the person is. So, yeah. So don't be taking pictures in boxes for people, please. Please. Okay. Next. Okay. Now let's talk about word magic. Okay. In the context of magic, word spells often refer to incantations, magical formulas, or phrases believed to have supernatural effects when spoken or written. These words are sometimes considered a type of magic in themselves or a component of a larger magical act. Word spells are a type of magic where spoken, sung. Now, let me bring a point on sung. When you listen to secular music, the words, they may be casting spells. Okay? So be very careful with secular music. Very careful. Do not listen to everything. Probably shouldn't listen to any of it, really, but just be careful and pray about it. Or written words are used as incantations to achieve a desired effect, either by communication with a higher power to influence the material world or by directing energy and intention to shape reality. Invocations, words used to call upon higher powers or beings to influence events in the material world. Magical formulas, these are words or phrases used in ceremonial magic that are believed to have specific supernatural effects, often representative principles and understanding according to Wikipedia. Words of power. In some magical traditions, specific words or phrases are believed to hold power and can be used to direct energy. Word magic in practice. Some believe that words can be spells if spoken with the right intention, energy, and emotion. Okay, I have stories for you. Okay, so we have to talk about, I have to mention LA again. LA is a person who I mentioned in part two video. I mean, part one video. So please go watch part one video. Please, please. Okay. I just want you to get the full picture. Okay. LA. Jesus gave me a dream about LA. Excuse me. Jesus gave me a dream about LA that they were in my room, in my bedroom. LA was in my bedroom. And they came up, they walked out of my bath, came up to me in my bed, climbed up on my bed, and got the pillowcase or sheet and put it over my head and was trying to suffocate me. Okay. Um, Jesus was showing me that they would like for you to be unalived. Okay. And that's not the only thing. There's more things, you know. They're condescending, they're very control. I could hear their spirit. I have discernment of their spirit. Okay. So, every time that LA, I depart from LA, they say, drive safe, drive safe, drive safe, drive safe. It's constant, like, it drives me insane. Like, I try to leave their presence before, without, like, I don't even say so long to them, like, anymore. Like, I try not to because that, they were always saying that, and I didn't like it. And I felt weird about it, and I felt the intention. Like, when you have discernment of spirits, you can discern the spirits and the intention. You can, when someone says something, you can hear what they mean, what they really mean, or what their real intention is. That is discerning of spirits. You can discern those spirits in them. And another thing that they would always say is, "You're on fire. You're on fire." And they would say that all the time. Like, if I was doing something good, they would be like, "You're on fire." Like, no, no, sir. Um, and another thing they would always say is, "There's always something. It's always something. It's always something. It's always something." Like, their intention, if they don't have an intention toward any one of those, you know, it's implied to me because I know their intention. Do you know what I mean? I know their intention. Okay. So, now here's a self-unaliving intention that they have. Okay. So, um they would they would say, one time they said to me, I said, this is the year of exposure. This is the year of exposure because all kinds of things were being exposed. Now, I don't, it's recent, but I don't really want to say the year because then it'll like be pinpointing more of the person maybe, and I kind of want to avoid that. So I'm just going to say in general, okay? So I said, this is the year of um, this is the year of exposure. Like, people are being exposed big time. And they said to me, well, I guess there's going to be a lot of self-unalivings. And that shocked me so much. I'm like, why would you say that? Why would you even say that? I didn't say this to her, but I was like thinking it, like, why would they even say that? That is a terrible thing to say. Okay, so in the same year, maybe a couple months after that, maybe, someone very dear and near and close to me tried to unalive themselves. Very dear to me. And before that happened, I had a dream that I was in a basement and the person was laying down, not that person, but a person, like, similar to like my brother, like I told you about. He was in bed and he was like sick for a year and in the hospitalized and all that. And it was similar to that situation. Um, so I thought about him in the dream immediately, and then our family members were off to the side over here, but it was something very, very evil about it. And they were just laying there, okay? So, and then after that, I had a feeling like maybe about a week or so after before that happened, like when the person tried to unalive themselves, I had a deep feeling in me that I wanted to. And I was like, no, this ain't right. Like, this ain't me. This ain't who I am. I'm not trying to do that. I don't want that. I'm like, why do I have this deep feeling? Because I was taking on the feelings of that person. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's what was happening. And so, and then shortly after, the person that I love dearly tried to do that to themselves. And so when that happened, the person survived because of Jesus. Angels went to his rescue. Jesus was with us. And the person survived. But the person was in ICU for 2 weeks and then in the hospital for another 2 weeks recovering, and then was back home but still recovering. So the person was in the hospital for like a month, but the person, fully recovered, fully back at work, normal, like everything is normal, like it never happened. So by the grace of Jesus and Heavenly Father. So when it first happened and the person was in the hospital, LC, who said this terrible thing out of her mouth, kept asking me, well, what happened? What happened? What happened to the person? What happened to the person? Why are they in the hospital? What happened? What did they have an accident? What happened? And I would not tell them. And I never told them what really happened. But they wanted to know so badly. They kept badgering. And they wanted to know so badly. They got LB. LB is another person who they're friends with that is in my first video that you need to watch. They got LB to send me a text where, out of the blue, who I don't even talk to ever, and their number was in my phone for another reason, like a once upon ago, long time ago reason. So they texted me and said, "Oh, how are you? How's everything going with you? How's everything?" When they never do that. But they wanted me to slip, they wanted me to say, "Oh, this is what's going on and this is what happened." And I wouldn't. I didn't even mention. But that's the slickster. That's the like the teaming up. Okay? So they never did find out unless somebody else told them. I never told them. And I think that if they told them, if they knew, they would have, it would have slipped out of them. Jesus would have exposed them. But yeah. So a year goes by, exactly a year later to the day. Like I think maybe like the next day or something. They say early in the morning, they come to me and they go, there was an unaliving in your, after a year. There was an unaliving in your town. There was an unaliving. Did you see it? Did you see it? Look at the paper they showed in my in their phone. They want to show me the unaliving that took place. And they go of a young person. And they go, this is like right near this is where you go shopping. It was at a mall parking lot that this person unlived themselves, and they couldn't wait to show. They showed me, and then they're like, "This is right where near you. This is where you go shopping, right in front of the store right at the store where you go shopping." That was strange. Like it's like to me like they still have the unaliving on their mind, and that was their intention for me, most likely. Anyway. And I did have that dream from Jesus that showed that they were trying to unalive me, remember? So, the mouth is very dangerous, okay? With the intention that comes behind it. Anyway, that is word magic, okay? All right, let's keep going. Let's see if there's anything else. No, there's anything else. So, when people say things to you, just rebuke and pray. Our next video is going to be on how to, handle these things. So, how to protect yourself. So, rebuke and pray. Stay in prayer, basically, definitely. Okay, let's go to the next thing. Okay, so more enemies. Okay, so they have minions and entourages to do their bidding. They don't stand on their own. They bear false witness against you to get others to dislike you. God's people are often alone and don't have close friends to confide in. They spend most of their time with Jesus. They don't feel lonely or need others to boost their ego. See, God's people stand alone. They have Holy Spirit, Heavenly Father, and Jesus that dwell in them. They don't need an exterior person. On the other hand, these minions, these people who do witchcraft, these people who are not of God, they do not stand alone. They have partners that help them. They have other people, and even people that don't know that they are helping them, but they don't know that they're doing witchcraft. They're just pulled in, and you know that that's I believe that's why Jesus and Heavenly Father hate gossip so much. I believe that gossip is a sin because gossiping is a form of witchcraft, I believe. I really think that because when you're gossiping, you're building a case against someone else, a false witness. You're bearing a false witness, and that is a form of it. And so you're getting people to go against this person, and they don't even know what they're doing. So it's very deceptive, and it's very bad. Okay. So they'll make you have enemies. Yeah. Okay, so that wraps up this podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something you can take away. And I thank you so much for watching. I really do. So please watch part 3. Part 3 is witchcraft in the workplace and how to protect yourself. Okay, so hopefully I'll get that to you shortly. And I love you guys, and I will talk to you again soon. Bye.